Today's session is going to be about going out and about in the community, and I'm going to give you some little tips, things to think about, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat about some of the autism friendly environments that have been created across the North East and in particular places that we've actually been working with. So while we wait for people to join us, I am just going to give you a bit of an overview of what we've been doing this week at NEAS. Obviously it's been Autism Awareness Week, and thank you so much for getting involved. We really appreciate you kind of sharing your videos, sharing your pictures and posting information to us as well. We've really had such a good response, and we're really pushing autism awareness out there this year, as we do every year and every day here at NEAS. But this week it's been absolutely spectacular, so that's fantastic stuff. Fundraising have been busy doing their walk for autism, so they're still recruiting people for that. So if you're interested, it takes place in Herrington Park. Please get in touch and register yourself. Should be a really fun event, and yeah, just get yourself down there. I've got Lisa joining us. Hi Lisa, hope you and Dylan are okay. Hi Abby, thanks for coming along. And we've got 3 other people. I can't see your names, so just give us a like if you're there. We've also been doing some work this week at, we've been having a chat with the guys again down at the Sunderland Empire, and we had a really fantastic event the other day called the Sound Around event, and I know a couple of you won free tickets to that. And it was basically, it was an orchestra event, but all the whole planning had been done by people with additional needs and people back with autism. It was absolutely fantastic. So there was a guy with autism that was working all the technical aspects of the show. There was people with autism coming on and telling us what was going to happen next, and they'd wrote the whole script. It was absolutely fantastic to see. So hopefully people did get along to that. If you did, let us know how it went. And obviously we'll be doing loads more work with Sunderland Empire in the future as well. Thank you to everyone that got involved with the videos. We had a lovely video yesterday pushed out from one of our little guys called Alexander. It was absolutely fantastic, and he did a video. His dad did one first and then he did one. It was just a really nice, inspiring video when he was telling us about what he likes and Pokemon and all interesting facts about Pokemon. But it's really lovely to hear from people that have autism and to kind of really get their views and have their story shared across our networks. Okay, so thank you for that. So we're going to start the session now, because I can see we've got a few people joined. Morning Amanda, nice to have you here. Morning Abby. So what I want to talk about is just going out and about in the community, and we know that for people with autism this can be very challenging, and it can be particularly difficult for you as parents as well. So you know, I listen to many stories from families where one of the main reasons they struggle to go out is because of the judgment around other people. Society, even though we've moved on quite away from the 1950s and the 1960s, society can still be very cruel, and there are still some people out there that have quite a lot of misconceptions around autism and actually see your child as a child that's being naughty, or your adult as being unusual or different in some way. They might not have that understanding about autism. One of the other reasons why we kind of find it difficult to go out really is around our children and adults' behaviour as well. So we might worry that going into a certain environment might cause a behaviour, and they may have a meltdown, or they may shut down, and that can be really difficult. And you know, I work with families where they don't go out as a family to have a meal. So things that sometimes, you know, I might take for granted, for example, I know it's very difficult for our families for a multitude of reasons. Some of our children and adults will have very repetitive kind of predictable patterns that they want to follow. So, you know, if you try and take them to the new restaurant down the way there, they might not even enter that as a thought into their brain, because they always go to McDonald's, they always go on this day, and they always eat this type of food. Okay, so lots of different reasons why there's challenges, but what I want to talk to you about is just some things that you can think about, and you're probably all aware of some of these things anyway, but if they are useful, please give us a like as we're going through. And please, if you can, if you've got any ideas, just comment at the bottom, because you are the experts within the field, so we really want to hear from you as parents as well. Okay, thanks for joining us, Sarah, and hi Jacqueline, nice to have you with us as well. So the first thing, the one of the most important thing that we all know for our children and adults is about reducing that level of unpredictability. So it's really about planning ahead, planning where you're going. And for some, you know, for some families I work with, it can take them 2 hours to get out of the house, because they have to plan every tiny thing, things that often, you know, somebody else may take for granted. So have a plan and have a backup plan as well. So if you're going out in a group, or if you're going out, you know, in a couple or whatever, make sure that plan is communicated to other people in your party. So if this goes wrong, this is what we will do. If he does this, this is the action plan. So you've always got that backup in your head. What that'll do is it'll kind of help in some way to decrease your anxiety, because you will know that you have a plan and you have people around you that will join in that plan if something challenging does happen. Okay. Hi Moira, hi Sarah, thanks for joining us. The next thing is familiarise yourself with the venues you're going. Now, what I would do is I would get yourself on Google. Google can be fantastic for getting images off there, and print off as many images as possible as you can. So yesterday I was chatting to a parent who's going to a lodge up in Kielder. Really excited about it, but a little bit worried about how their little boy is going to respond. So what she's going to do is go on Google Images or even contact the venue and get as many photographs as possible, because we know that reducing that unpredictability then reduces the anxiety and then reduces the likelihood of a behaviour happening. Okay, so really familiarise yourself with where you're going, and you know, don't become complacent. So maybe if you've been there every year for the last 3 years, you might think, oh, well, they know where they're going now, so that's okay. I would still recommend that you have photographs from the previous year, or you have pictures or whatever it is that can help your child or adult understand where they're actually going to be going. Okay? Think about your sensory considerations. So for some of our individuals, remember, it can be the tiniest of things. So try and identify what is actually the trigger point in that environment. So if we take a supermarket, for example, there are lots and lots of sensory stuff that's going on that could impact on your child and adult. So there'll be the lights, there'll be the obvious things like the noise of the tannoy, lots of people, maybe babies crying. So there are more obvious ones that, you know, we often think about. But then there could be really the more subtle ones, like, you know, the baker has just cooked a batch of bread and it's got this really strong smell. There's a lady walking past who's got a really strong perfume on. There are people wafting plastic bags, and that noise that makes could cause a difficulty for some of our people. It could be the clip-clopping of a shoe. You know, high heel shoes going along kind of a supermarket floor can be quite loud for many of us. But for our individuals that have got hypersensitive hearing, that can be just intensified. Okay, so really think about the tiny things that you may not pick up on, because if you can identify in a supermarket, for example, what is the potential trigger, then maybe you can go somewhere to try and avoid that. I know it's not always possible, but in some way, at least if you know what the trigger is, you know what you're working with in some respects. Okay. The next thing is liaise with the place that you're going. So there's a lot of environments now that you know, are really good if you ring them up and say, can we come and do a pre-visit? I know, for example, the Sunderland Empire that we work with, they do familiarisation visits. So if you wanted to go to the theatre, for example, you can just give them a call and they'll let you go down and see the theatre actually when it's empty, which is fantastic. Get in touch with, you know, supermarkets, find out when is the quieter time for going along. Think about lots of different venues and just liaise with them. And I suppose in doing that, you can give them a little bit of information about your child as well, so that when you actually do get there, it might just make them realise that this is a child attending that has autism, and it might make their approach change in some way. Okay. Think about having a toolkit. I mean, I talk about these toolkits quite a bit, but it's basically, can be a bag, can be a box, it could be anything you want, and it contains all the things that you know your child or adult likes. So it could be anything from a packet of Quavers to some bubbles, to a squeaky toy, to, I don't know, a Thunderbirds character, for example. There can be anything in there that can act as a distractor. I found some lovely little things on Amazon, just brought them along to show you. These are like little twiddly toys. They come in all different colours. You got like about 6 for about £1. And all it is a little bit of mesh with a marble in. Now, for some of our children, they wouldn't be interested in this at all. But I know some individuals that really like seeking some tactile, and that actually helps them feel calm. These would be really good. So, you know, we've got pink, purple and green here. Really simple concept, but actually can be really effective for some of our individuals. Okay, so it could be things like that you have within your toolbox. It could be sensory toys, fidget cubes, things like that. Never underestimate the power of food as well. So I know I've got some families that will always have a backup plan of the favourite food, whether that's a Kinder Egg or a piece of cheese or a cherry tomato. It doesn't matter. They have it with them for when things get to that point where you've just got to get out and you need something to actually help you do that. Okay, so having that backup will always, will sometimes make you as parents maybe feel less anxious, because you know if something does happen, you've got a bit of a backup plan and you've got a tool to enable them to move on in some way. Okay, think about informing other people about your child's autism or your adult's autism. Now, this isn't for everyone, and not every parent would use this as a strategy, but there certainly are some parents that do use it, and there's little cards that you can get, or you can actually make yourself really cheap on the printer and the computer, which says your child has autism. So you know, if any of you have ever been in that situation where you're in an environment, it's took you so long to get your child actually there in the first place, you're really proud of them because they've done amazing, and then a member of the public tuts or makes a comment. And working with families, some of the comments that I hear that, you know, are said out there in society are absolutely shocking. You know, bring him to my house for a week, I'll sort him out. You know, you need to parent him better, or you've got a naughty child. I'd quickly sort that out. Now, we know that these kind of comments exist, and we know that these judgments exist. So what some parents do is, if they see that happening, rather than getting themselves stressed, which will then impact on your child, so your child will then feed off that stress and it'll become quite a negative situation, they just hand a little card to the person that's staring at them, or the person that's tutting at them, and that says a little bit about autism on it as well. So it actually is educating society, and that might actually make that person stop and think that, hang on, I need to see this from a different perspective, because this parent is doing the best that they can in a very difficult situation. Okay, so, you know, you can think about that. It's not for everyone, but some parents do find it useful. Okay. Celebrate. So make sure you celebrate any small achievements. So even if your child gets to ASDA and walks through the door and then runs off, that's an achievement. If your child goes to the new swimming pool and, you know, enters the changing rooms and takes the socks off, absolutely fantastic. Let's celebrate it and try and end wherever possible with new environments on a positive note. So even if you just stay for 30 seconds or 5 minutes, rewarding that and having that feel-good factor about it will make it more likely next time that your child might engage in it and go back. Okay, make sure you review. So make sure you actually after, if you've had maybe an incident or something's happened in an environment that, you know, you might not been particularly expecting, go back and review. So have time for you, which I know is difficult for a lot of the parents, have time to sit back and reflect on it. So what was it in that environment that caused the problem? They're always okay in that environment, so what was different? Was there a baby in there? Was there a change in the layout of the aisles, or whatever it is? Try and review it, because it's only through kind of reviewing that we can learn for next time. Okay, what I'm going to talk about now is just some of the organisations that we work with, particularly at NEAS. So across the North East now, we've got many organisations that are aiming to be autism friendly. And autism friendliness can be quite difficult to achieve, because all your children and adults will be very different. So that's the first thing I want to say. However, what I found most useful when we were going out doing the training for organisations is that change in attitude and that change in understanding. So as I was saying before, rather than them seeing your child as a child that's naughty and misbehaving, if you have that training and some understanding about autism, it changes your perception. And I've seen this happen with some organisations that we're working with, where, you know, initially they had quite maybe different views around autism, and actually at the end of working with them, they get it, and they get that these are just kids and adults that think differently, and it's up to us in society to actually change the way that we behave as opposed to making them change. Okay, so some of the places we work with, and I'm just going to tell you a bit about what we do with them. We do a lot of work with the Sunderland Empire, absolutely fantastic guys down there around autism and accessibility. Every year we do a relaxed pantomime. Give us a like if you've been to that. But also what the Empire have been really keen to do is not just make it an annual event. So they're actually doing events now throughout the year. The next one that they're doing is Gangster Granny, which I think is in May, and it's going to be a relaxed performance of the David Walliams book. So that's really exciting. So have a look at that. They also have a drama group which is run specifically for individuals with autism. It's absolutely fantastic, and they've done some brilliant work, and they've actually done some work on stage. We've also got the Sage in Gateshead. Really on board with the whole project, really. They've started doing the relaxed performance of the Snowman for the last 2 years. And now they're looking at how they can implement that within their family programs as well. They're also looking at creating some autism champions across the Sage. So what that will mean is that autism training will become part of the induction process for new staff, which I think is absolutely fantastic. We've done a lot of work with the Newcastle Airport, but we need to do some more with them. If anyone is going on holiday, there is a downloadable autism passport that you can get, and that will give you access to getting on the plane quicker, so you can either board first or last. It'll also give you access through security much quicker as well. There's also an activity book and a social story online too that you can download. And we'd love your feedback about that, because we're always kind of, find out what we can do better. We do some work with the Baltic. So the Baltic have started doing autism-friendly sessions. They did one called Squishy Spaces, which was a sensory event. And before that, they did the Playground Project, which was brilliant. It was all about physical activity and playing for children. It was really well attended, and they're going to do much more sessions. In fact, they just rung yesterday to tell us they want to have a catch-up. So fingers crossed that'll be for more autism-friendly stuff. Gala Theatre just did their first relaxed performance this year of Jack and the Beanstalk, which was brilliant, so they're on board. Also the Northern Stage. I don't know if I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, but we've got a place in the Metro Centre called Mod Pizza, and they're looking at doing autism-friendly pizza making sessions, which is going to be fab. And I know a lot of you have fed back to me on that it's something you want to see. We try and do as much work as we can with hairdressers, because we know this is a bit of a trigger point for many of our children, and it can be difficult to get them through for the haircut. So one in particular is Alfie's Hairdressers in Sunderland and Seaburn. They've been fantastic and really come on board with it, and they're actually looking at putting on an autism friendly session just for kids on the spectrum. And they're going to look at turning the lighting off, turning the music off, having fidget toys. They've also got a visual planner of what you do when you get your haircut, and you get a reward at the end, so you get a sweet or a lolly or something like that. We've also done a lot of work with Durham Leisure Centres as well, so looking at how they can maybe put on some autism-friendly leisure sessions. And also this week we started working with the Foundation of Light, because they've got a bid through to do a lot more access work around sports and activities, so that's exciting too. That was just a really brief overview of some of the autism-friendly kind of environments we work with. I could go into depth about them all. So if people want specific information about them, then please get in touch and I'll tell you everything you need to know about them. But that's part of our aim here at NEAS, is to make the North East as autism-friendly as we can. So if you know anywhere, please get in touch.